ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदां ह्रियं ददाति स्वदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवशादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंकुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय, श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, जय निताय गुरु प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna. Let's continue discussing on Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. Last week we saw about the Purusha Shukta prayers and how different limbs of the Lord, they correspond to a particular function in this world, and how unless the Supreme Lord, he moves, nothing else in this world moves. In short, the chapter 6 discusses about the different Purusha avatars. First it spoke about the form of Mahavishnu and how this whole world is taking shelter of him. And then we discussed about Garbhodakshai Vishnu and then Shirodakshai Vishnu. So these Purusha avatars, they primarily deal with the material creation, and they engage Maya Shakti in various ways. So after describing about the different Purusha avatars, now Lord Brahma, he discusses about the Leela avatars, which or who usually deal with the Chit Shakti of the Supreme Lord. So that brings us to the next chapter, which is chapter 7, scheduled incarnations with specific functions. So this chapter discusses about, in very brief, and they'll be elaborated later in the coming cantos, about the different incarnations of the Supreme Lord, what form did they take, and what was the mission, or what was the purpose, and what activities they did in very, very short form. So that's what this chapter is going to talk about. Chapter 7, second canto. First, Varahadev. Varahadev, he is the form of all sacrifices. So if you look at any shruva, spoons that is used for any yajna, you would see in the spoon there is like a partition. Next time you come across anyone doing yajna, you can notice that. There are different types of spoons. One particular type of spoon has got a partition in between. It's a normal spoon, but a partition in between. It represents the two nostrils of Varahadev. So when we offer oblation, we use only one half, so Varahadev can breathe. So Varahadev is known as Yajna Varaha. He is the form of all sacrifices. So even during performance of Homa, we install different personalities. Like ghee, we install Mahalakshmi. Kalasa, we invoke a presence of Varunadev. Likewise, in the spoons, there we invoke the presence of Varahadev. So Varahadev, he is the form of all sacrifices. He lifted the earth from Garbhodaka ocean when Hiranyaksha dunked it under. If you had seen the Mahavatar Narasimha movie, you can see a very, very beautiful depiction of Varahadev. I would call it the best I have ever seen. Such a beautiful form. Even the whole presentation of it, even though it lasted for like 2-3 minutes only, it was brilliant. If you didn't get a chance to watch the movie yet, watch this for Varahadev as much as you would like to do for Narasimhadev and the hero of the movie, which is Prahlad Maharaj. And he fought with Hiranyaksha and he killed Hiranyaksha. So this is Varahadev. Then the Supreme Lord took the form, not in a chronological order. We discussed about this before. Bhagavata Purana, Purana for that matter, is a thematic compilation. It's not based on a linear timeline, unlike the Itihasas, which is Ramayana and Mahabharata, which usually goes on a very linear timeline. So it goes sequentially. Whereas in Srimad Bhagavatam, and for that matter, any Purana is not based on any linear timeline. So you'll see Leelas going back and forth, and sometimes making the heads of historians spin when they try to fit in how could this incarnation happen after that, and they may, without understanding the whole presentation of Purana, they even pass judgments saying that means this Purana is wrong. No, Purana by definition is just a thematic compilation spanning across different yugas, and they don't come under. So you will find a description of an avatar of the Supreme Lord who happened in Dwapara Yuga, then followed by someone in Treta, then followed by someone in Kali, then followed by somebody in Satya. So it's in no particular order. So it's not based on timeline. Itihasas are based on timeline. Puranas aren't. Suyagya, he appeared as the son of Ruchi and Ahuti. He was he begot demigods headed by Suyama in the womb of Dakshina. He also took the role of Indra. At the time, Swayambhuva Manu calls him Hari. So Suyagya is also an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. It is given in the scriptures, we'll see it later, that the position of Brahma, position of Indra is very, very exalted. Sometimes there may not be enough jivas who had accrued enough pious credit or accrued enough qualification to go and take up that role. So during those times, when there is a gap or when there is a lack of any qualified jiva, Supreme Lord himself takes up those roles. So you come across this particular instance when Supreme Lord Suyagya took the role of Indra in the name of Hari. Kapila Dev, we'll discuss in detail in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He appeared as the son of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. He spoke about Sankhya Yoga in very, very elaborate detail. Sankhya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga also. He gives a lot of instructions, beautiful instructions about holy name, beautiful instructions about deity worship, instructions about how to practice Navida Bhakti. Very beautiful section we'll see in the third canto. So this is Kapila Dev. Then Dattatreya, Datta Atreya, Atri and Anasuya. So Atri was a great sage. He offers prayers to the Supreme Lord without naming anyone in particular. So then he gets different personalities as his sons. One, he gets a Soma from Lord Brahma as a boon, form or a partial representation of Lord Brahma. He gets in the form of Soma. Then he gets the famous Durvasa Muni, who is the partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. And likewise, Vishnu says, because he didn't call any one of us in particular, all of us have come as the three Guna avatars. And Vishnu says, I have come and I am giving myself to you, Datta. And Atreya. So that's why his name comes to be known as Datta. Datta means one who is giving himself, or one who is given, basically. So that's Datta. And Atreya. Atreya means son of Atri Muni is Atreya. Likewise, you have Karna, whose mother is Radha, who is the wife of the charioteer. So sometimes Karna is known as Radheya. Kunti Maharani's son is Arjuna, so sometimes he is addressed as Kaunteya. Likewise, Atreya. So here, Datta Atreya. Atreya is like his surname, so to speak. So this is Dattatreya. He gives a lot of instructions, you will see, to Yadu, Haihayas, and he discusses about the different ways how we can actually connect everything with the Supreme Lord, and he gives beautiful instructions. We'll discuss about this one later. Later sections, his instructions are repeated by great personalities as well. 4 Kumaras, they are the next incarnation. They appeared when Lord Brahma, he wanted to procreate. He wanted to first create his sons, and through them he wanted to propagate the progeny. At that time, one of the first personalities he creates are the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras, they clearly established the truth of devotional service, which over the period of time they keep being covered, so to speak. Like Krishna says that this signs of Bhakti Yoga as it is appears to be lost. So four Kumaras are great devotees. They have their own bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya. We come across in the famous prayers, Sanaka Sanatana Varni Charite. They propagated worship of Srimati Radharani also. You will see in Rupa Goswami's famous prayers, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. So there he glorifies about the role of the four Kumaras. Four Kumaras appear everywhere. In the prelude to the story of how Jaya and Vijay gets cursed as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, you will come across the four Kumaras in different places. They come in Chaitanya Lila also. They have a big role to play even in Gaur Lila and Navadvip Lila also. So you will see. Then Nara Narayana. Nara Narayana, they appeared as the son of Murti and Dharma. If you read Mahabharata, you will come across Nara Narayana so many instances. Almost every instance when somebody wants to establish the position of Krishna and Arjuna, every single personality, great personalities, whenever they talk about Krishna and Arjuna, they'll mention this. Be it Narada Muni, be it Bhishma Dev, be it any great personality, we'll come across. So they are Naranarayana Rishis. In our Bharata Kanda, we have a very special relationship with Naranarayana Rishi. So we'll discuss in detail in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam how this planetary system is known as Bhumandala is divided into different islands known as Dvipas. The centralmost island, the the place where we live. So this is known as this is one island, Jambudvipa. Likewise, you will come across Plakshadvipa, Shalmalidvipa, Kushadvipa, Kraunchadvipa, Pushkaradvipa, so on and so forth. You will come across different Dvipas. The centralmost island is known as Dvipas. Dvipas in turn is divided into 9 different partitions. Each partition is known as Varsha. So we live in Bharata Varsha. Likewise, you come across Ilavarta Varsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, Hari Varsha. You will come across many different names for the different partitions of Jambudvipa, the centralmost island of Bhumandala where we live in. And in that, different Varshas, Bharata Varsha is one section. The southernmost Varsha is known as Bharata Varsha. Each Varsha has got a predominating deity of the Supreme Lord, and each Varsha has also got a devotee who is like the chief of all the devotees, who is training everyone, who is leading the worship of that predominating deity. So for our Bharata Varsha, 2 personalities are mentioned. So in our Bharata Varsha, the predominating deities are Naranarayana Rishi. And the devotee leading their worship is Narada Muni. So we have the best devotee with us and the best lords with us. So Narayana Rishis, they are the Supreme Lord. They appear as the son of Murti, sons of Murti and Dharma. So many instances you will come across their presence. It's in Prahlad Maharaj's Leela. We come across in so many instances. You will see how even Indra, when he was overcome by fear, that when he looked at the austerities of Naranarayana Rishi, he thought they are going to take away all my opulences. Because of that, he sends Cupid along with the different damsels of the heavenly kingdom. And when they come and dance right in front, Naranarayana Rishi are least disturbed, and right from his own body, he produces unlimited damsels who made all these heavenly damsels go to shame because they were like far, their spiritual personalities far superior. In fact, Urvashi, when after performing this Leela, when Naranarayana Rishis, they pulled everyone back into their body. At that time, Indra, he says like, please leave one damsel for us. Then Naranarayana Rishi lets go Urvashi. That's how Urvashi came to be. So you will come across different Leelas, their presence are there. They want to teach the whole world how this world that we live in is karma bhumi. And it's very important. Many times, as devotees, we study books, Prabhupada's books, we discuss philosophy. Unfortunately, we don't put the philosophy into action. We just keep talking. So, Prabhupada's teachings are very, very practical. Prabhupada himself, in so many places, said lip service. So, our philosophy is not just for talking, our philosophy is to put into practice. So, Varnashrama system, for example, Prabhupada says 50% of my mission is there. We have been talking about it for a long time. Very few devotees, bold devotees, courageous devotees, they are doing. So, we need to do something about that, because that is the blueprint Srila Prabhupada has given how the whole world people can actually be engaged in. So, like that, we'll come across many instances where philosophically we are very strong, but our understanding of philosophy and our application of philosophy doesn't go beyond lip service. So, we need to take it and we need to put that into practice. So, same way here we see Naranarayana Rishi, Supreme Lord doesn't just give instructions. In Bhagavad Gita, Uddhava Gita, Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, that he doesn't just give instructions, he himself personally comes and he undergoes all the austerities and he demonstrates. Prabhupada says that karmis, they work hard. As devotees, we have to work even more hard. Very, very hard, like that. Hard, not in the sense, generally, there is a certain negative connotation or there's a certain prejudice that's attached with this word hard. Hard means like, I really don't like, but still I have to push myself. Not like that. Hard here refers to engaging every bit of our energy, our resources in the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna. That's what working hard means. Prabhupada says we have to work very, very hard means tasmad sarveshu kaleshu kirtaniya sadakar. So we should always be engaged because this is the most blissful process. That's why. So Supreme Lord as a Narayana Rishi, they appear to walk the talk, to demonstrate how we are supposed to be performing austerities, how we are supposed to lead this life, preparing for the ultimate destination, which is to go back to the Supreme Lord. How we should practice our life so that we develop love of God within our heart. So that's why they appeared. And as he said, there are many instances you will come across. Many times when even Lord Shiva instance is given, when he conquers lust, sometimes Shiva, he demonstrates anger also. But for Naranarayana Rishi, it's given, they don't even, they conquer lust, but they don't even show a tinge of anger, which means they are the Supreme Lords and none of the other qualities can even approach them. In terms of being influenced by anything. Doesn't mean Shiva is getting influenced, but the comparison is given like this. Some instances we'll see Lord Shiva, like this famous story when Brigumuni goes and kicks Vishnu, and that's how Balaji Leela starts. So when Brigumuni wanted to establish who is among the three Gunavataras, who is the superior, first he goes to Brahma. Brahma rejects him. Then he goes to Indra, rather Lord Shiva. Shiva gets angry, ready to attack him, and finally he goes to Vishnu. Vishnu welcomes him, and then even though Brigumuni kicks him on his chest, Vishnu still gets off from his bed and then he massages his feet. That's how Vishnu demonstrates his extreme humility. And then Bhrigu concludes that Shiva is overcome by anger. So Vishnu has to be the Supreme Lord. But actually, Puranas, they say Shiva knew exactly why Bhrigu has come. But Shiva also knew Vishnu is my Supreme Lord. To establish the position of the Supreme Lord, Shiva acted in a way as if he's overcome by anger. That's how Bhrigu, he concludes. So sometimes the comparison is given. Comparison is given to say how even Shiva would like. Currently, we are discussing Rudra Geet. We'll read that in fourth canto. Rudra Geet, we'll see how Shiva, he glorifies and he says how for the devotees, no one else is dear to him dear to them as much as he is. Nobody favors the devotees as much as he does to the devotees of Lord Vishnu. So here we see that Narayana Rishi, they conquered lust, but without even having a tinge of anger affect them. Kamam dahanti kritino nanurosha drishtya rosham dahanta mutate na dahanti sahyam soyam yadantaramalam pravishan viveti kama katam nupunarasya manashrayeta. Then next is Prishnigarbha. Prishnigarbha, form of the Supreme Lord. We come across when Supreme Lord Krishna, he appears in front of Vasudeva and Devaki. At that time, he tells them about the different incarnations he has taken in the past. First, he says, "I appeared as your son, as Vamanadev, when you appeared as Kashyapa and Aditi." Then he says, as Sutapa and Prishni, when you appeared, I appeared as your son. I was known as Prishnigarbha. That form of the Lord, Prishnigarbha, is also given here as one of the Leela avatars. And it's this form of Lord known as Prishnigarbha who appeared in front of Dhruva Maharaj in Madhuvan, in Vrindavan, when Dhruva Maharaj pleased to the Supreme Lord, undergoing severe austerities for 6 months. That's Prishnigarbha. Prithu Maharaj, he is also another incarnation. He appeared as the son being churned out from the body of his father Vena by the sages, and he delivered his father from his father Vena, who was very demoniac, from the hellish planet, and he milked the earth. So during the time of Prithu Maharaj, he appeared during the form of crisis, when Mother Earth, because everyone has stopped performing sacrifices, she withdrew her bounty and nobody was able to get enough food, enough resources from the earth, and everyone was complaining. And at that time, Prithu Maharaj, he fixed the situation, and then he churned out whatever crops that's actually needed from Mother Earth. So this is Prithu Maharaj. Rishabhadev. Rishabhadev's instructions are given in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He appeared as the son of Nabi and Sudevi. He gives a lot of beautiful instructions. Nayam deha deha bhajam triloke. So you come across the instructions which he gives to his 100 sons. The first son of him among those 100 is Bharat Maharaj. He is the great devotee who we usually see in relation to how he remembered deer at the time of his living, and then after leaving his body, he had to take the form of deer. That is his first son. He discusses about the path of renunciation. He gave up all material affection. He controls his senses, and he was fully self-realized. So this is form of Rishabhadev. We'll read in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hayagriva, the horse incarnation of the Supreme Lord. He is the personification of all the Vedas, and he is the one who retrieved the Vedas by killing Madhu and Kaitaba. So one of Supreme Lord's name we say Madhusudana. So Hayagriva form of the Lord he kills, and he retrieves the Vedas and gives it back to Lord Brahma. You will see. Matsya Avatar. Matsya Avatar comes at the time of the Vaivashvata Manvantara. He comes as the shelter of all the living entities. We'll read this story of Matsya Avatar, how at the time of the changing of the previous Manu to the current Manu, at that time he comes and then he gives the instruction to the sages and especially to his devotee Satyavrata, and then from there we come across the different instructions, and then there is a mini pralaya that happens, and all the living entities, they were actually got on board on a big huge boat, that is Mother Earth, and all the sages are there, and then he comes with the unihorn, and whose horn is actually tied to the rope through Vasuki, and then he drags the boat, like he tows the boat. And as while he was doing, he also gave the instructions. So we see these beautiful descriptions of Matsya Avatar. Kurma Avatar. Kurma, he held up Mandara mountain during the Samudra Mandan Leela. And it is given that Kurma Avatar, when he is, because when they try to churn the earth, The Supreme Lord as Ajita, he is seated there. But when they tried to chant the Mandara Mountain was sinking. It needed a pivot, some base. So at that time, Supreme Lord, he appeared as Kurmadev, and the mountain was placed on the back of Kurmadev. So it is said that Kurmadev, when he was there, as you can see, Kurmanganiva, Sarvashaha, the Supreme Lord says Kurma is actually given as an example of withdrawing. If you watch some reels I've come across, they bring the food right in front, you cannot see anything. Suddenly, the head of the turtle will actually come, snap, it goes back in, takes the food, and then goes back in. So fast. So Kurmadev, because he is taking the form of a tortoise, he appears, and this Mandara mountain is a huge mountain. When demigods tried to lift it, they were having their limbs broken. When this mountain was placed on the back of Kurmadev and it was churned, Kurmadev felt somebody is actually scratching the itches of his back. So when Supreme Lord wants to scratch his body, he takes an avatar and he gets somebody to do the scratching by holding Mandara mountain. And while he was doing, when somebody scratches your back, you'll feel very pleased, and you'll close your eyes and you'll enjoy, as if like, wow, somebody is scratching my back. I feel very um, soothing effect, so to speak. So same way, Kurmadev was also feeling like that, and he is in semi-sleep position as Kurmadev, balancing Mandara mountain all the way. But the churning actually made Mandara mountain move about on his back, and that gave this sensation to Kurmadev. So this detail is given. Narasimhadev, he appeared to protect Prahlad Maharaj as well as to kill Hiranyakashipu and rid of this world of all his atrocities. Then we have Hari. Hari is the form of Lord who came to deliver Gajendra. When Gajendra is being attacked by the crocodile, he recites beautiful prayers, and he uses Uttama Shloka, very specific words to address the Supreme Lord. O Adi Purusha, Akila Lokanatha, Tirtha Shrava, Shravana Mangala Namadaya. So when he beautifully glorifies the Supreme Lord, asking him for help, at that time, Supreme Lord Hari gets on the back of Garuda and he comes down and he delivers Gajendra. Then we have Vamana Deva. Vamana Deva, he came as the youngest son of Aditi and Kashyapa. On the pretext of asking for 3 paces of land, he scaled the entire creation. And when asked, where should I put the 3rd foot, Bali Maharaj had asked him to place it on his head. So we see this beautiful incarnation. Vamanadev is also given like Narasimhadev as the form of the Lord, along with Lord Ramachandra as 3 specific incarnations who had demonstrated all the opulences of the Supreme Lord. Then we have Hamsavatara, the swan incarnation, very beautiful story that's given in Srimad Bhagavatam about how when Supreme Lord wanted to confuse people, he can also speak a confusing philosophy. Not necessarily untrue, but he plays with the words. So here he has given instruction to Narada Muni about Bhakti Yoga, and this instructions are specifically about how one should prepare one's consciousness to surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Then Manvantara Avatar. Manvantara Avatar usually comes as the descendant of Manu at the end of during each Manvantara. There are 14 Manus in a day of Lord Brahma, and it is given that this Manvantara, he actually comes as a descendant in the dynasty of each of those 14 Manus. So that's this Manvantara Avatar. Whenever he comes, he makes sure that the world follows the law and order properly. And if there are any miscreant rulers, he comes and removes them and re-establishes the principle of religion. Dhanvantari is given as the next one. Dhanvantari, he comes and he gave this science of Ayurveda to the whole world. It is given that if one just remembers the fame of Dhanvantari, one will be cured of all bodily diseases. That's how powerful he is. Can you believe it? Simply remembering about the glory of Dhanvantari, one can get rid of all bodily diseases. That's how powerful a personality he is. During the Samudra Manthan Leela, he appears with the pot of nectar, which was snatched away by the demons, which the Supreme Lord again appears as Mohini Avatar and snatches it back. So that's given, and he inaugurated the science of Ayurveda. Parashuram is the next incarnation. He uprooted the Kshatriyas 21 times. And then he then surrenders all his weapons and everything, and he turns towards the path of absolute truth. Ramachandra appeared as the son of King Dasharatha, along with his three brothers, Bharat, Lakshman, Shatrughna. He went to the forest on the order of his father for 14 years. And then, when Mother Sita was actually abducted by Ravana, not really real Sita, but Maya Sita, Vedavati, when she is abducted, but in external vision, it's still Mother Sita who was abducted. So, and then Lord Ram went and then fought the war. And then, in the name of Agni Pariksha, he then made the real Sita come out of the fire, because Mother Sita never left to Lanka, so to speak. When Ravana comes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains about this. We see this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Ravana comes and abducts Mother Sita, when he crosses the when she crosses the Lakshman Rekha, Sita goes in, but then Vedavati, who is Maya Sita, comes out of the Lakshman Rekha, who was abducted by Ravana. And Lord Ram also played the role as if his wife was abducted. And then finally, when Lord Ram kills Ravana, at that time, Ram knows this is only Maya Sita. He wanted real Sita back. So he says, oh, you have to go through Agni Pariksha. So then she enters into the fire, and the original Sita, who was welcomed by Agni Dev along with his wife Swaha, they send real Sita back, and then Lord Ram takes. Without knowing the background, sometimes people find fault with Lord Ram. How could Lord Ram doubted the character of his wife? That's just the role play he's playing. But this is what really happened. You can read Chaitanya Charitamrita for more details. So he vanquished, and he also made alliances with Shugriva. He killed Vali, established Sugriva, established Vibhishan also as the king of Lanka. And then we have Purna Purushottam Bhagavan, Krishna. So there is a series of verses from verses 26 to 35 where the description of Krishna is given here. He descends in his original beautiful hair. One of the descriptions, or one of the explanations for the name Keshava is given. One who has killed the Keshi demon. That's one meaning. There is another meaning for Keshava. Keshava also means one with the very beautiful, shiny, curly black hair. That's Krishna. He appeared in his original beautiful hair. Sita Krishna Keshaha. So he comes to diminish the burden of this earth. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. So he comes and he performs lot of Leela. There is no other incarnation of the Supreme Lord who has performed as much Leela as Lord Krishna, as much as documented about as for Lord Krishna as well. So here he killed the Putana, he overturned the cart, killed the Shakatashura, uprooted Arjuna trees, Yamalarjuna trees, and then he delivered Manigriv and Nalakuvera. He chastised Kaliya. He saved the Brajabasis from forest to fire, Agni Pana Krishna. He enacted Damodar Leela, wherein the rope which Mother Yashoda tried to tie him with always fell short by 2 fingers. He showed the universes within his mouth to his mother. He saved Nanda Maharaj from Varunadev. He released the Gopas from Vyomasura. He awarded Brajabasis a promotion to the highest planet, a spiritual sky. If I'm not wrong, it's in Gopal Champu. When Krishna comes back to Vrindavan after going to Dwaraka, Brajabasis say, you have to take us with you. We are dying We can't actually live without you even for one moment longer. If you leave us, take it that whole population of Vrindavan will actually drop down dead. So Krishna at that time, he expanded himself into two. Vrindavan Krishna, who was always there, and now Dwarakadesh Krishna also, they could see. Vrindavan Krishna, he made a big chariot at his will, gotten all Brajabasis on board, and then he drove all of them back to Goloka Vrindavan. The description is given. So here it said all awarded Brajabasis promotion to the highest planet in the spiritual sky proves that he is Godhead. So for all the people who still doubt about the position of Krishna, well, he made a big chariot, gotten all the people on board, and drove that all the way to spiritual world at will. That means he must be Supreme Lord. Stopped Indra Puja and held Govardhan hill when he was only 7 years old, and he held it for 7 days also and nights. He beheaded Shankachuda, who kidnapped the damsels. This particular Leela of Shankachuda is given as a panacea or remedy for conquering lust. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, whoever hears this Leela or whoever reads this Leela of Krishna killing Shankachuda, they will conquer lust. So that's the Falastuti that's given for this. He killed so many demons, both in Vrindavana as well as outside. He killed in Mathura, he killed in Dwaraka, he killed everywhere. He killed in Kurukshetra also. Even though he didn't personally participate in picking up a weapon and killing, he is the man of the match. So he personally killed them, or he killed them through his different agents or different friends, expansions. Through Baladeva he kills, through like Dhenukasura, Pralambasura, through Arjuna he kills so many of them, through Bhima he kills Jarasandha. So either he directly killed or through his devotees and expansions he killed them. Vyasadeva is another Leela avatar of the Supreme Lord. Krishna Dvaipayana, that's the name. Vyasa is the title. So for every Kali Yuga, you will come across Vyasadeva, different personalities taking the role. Just like Brahma is a position, Indra is a position, Vyasadeva is also a position. Our current Vyasadeva's name is actually Krishna Dvaipayana. Indra's name is Purandara. So he comes there and he compiles the Vedas, one who divides and compiles. That is what Vyasa means. The very word Vyasa means one who divides and compiles. So from one body of knowledge, he then divides it into 4, Virya, Jur, Sama, and Atharva, entrusts each one of those branches of knowledge to his disciples for them to propagate. Likewise, he writes Puranas, Itihasas, and then he propagates it to everyone. Buddha, he is also a Shakti Avatar. He bewilders the mind of the atheists. He also stops unnecessary killing of animals in the name of following Vedic rituals. So he comes specifically to stop animal killing and to introduce vegetarianism. So that's Lord Buddha. He rejected Vedas because it was in the name of Vedas that people were killing, justifying their acts by selective quoting from the Vedas. Because of that, he had to temporarily reject the Vedas. So this is Lord Buddha. Kalki. Kalki comes at the end of Kali Yuga when there is no Harikatha, when the Brahmanas have become corrupted totally, and the personality, Shamo Dhamma Tapasaucham, Shanti Rarjavam Evacha, Jnana Vijnana Mastikyam, Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. These are the different qualities which Krishna says that should adorn the character of a Brahmana. The Brahmana has to be patient. Brahmana has to be forgiving. Brahmana has to be clean. Brahmana has to be peaceful, so on and so forth. So these different qualities which Krishna says, unless somebody has that, then they are not really known as Brahmana. So here in Kali Yuga, at the end of Kali Yuga, a Brahmana will be rubber stamped based on which family they are born in. So only based on heredity will somebody be called as a Brahmana or not. We can already see that happening, but it will be the only way to identify a Brahmana by end of Kali Yuga. So at that time, when there is no Harikatha, when Brahmanas have become totally unqualified, so to speak, and when the kings are Shudras, again, Shudras, people sometimes try to understand it in the form of a caste. It's not based on a caste. It's not based on race. It's simply based on the qualities. So a king is when the Shudra becomes a king means somebody who is unqualified. To be a king, one is supposed to be a Kshatriya. And the descriptions, the qualities of even a Kshatriya is also given. How they are supposed to fight, how they are supposed to give in charity, so on and so forth. But a Shudra going there means they will neither fight, they will not go lead the fight. In Vedic times, we see Kshatriyas means they will always be the first ones to lead. Even for Mahabharata, we come across, 11 Akshawani is one side, 7 Akshawani is another side. Each of the different Akshawanis had one leader. And then all of the Akshawnis for their respective parties had another commander-in-chief. For Kauravas, it was Bhishma Dev. For Pandavas, it was Drishtadyumna. And Arjuna was playing second fiddle to Drishtadyumna. You will see, Drishtadyumna is the brother of Draupadi. And he kills Dronacharya, we'll see. So the kings in the Vedic times, they led from the front. When Shudras become the kings, they won't lead from the front, but they hide behind the people who are actually doing the work. So that's the Shudra, and that's unbecoming for a king. So when this situation prevails and there is no sacrifices at all at that time the Supreme Lord appears, and then he goes on mass killing of all these miscreants, and he reestablishes the position, welcoming the dawn of Satya Yuga, and then the cycle starts again. So this is Kalki. So after mentioning about all these different Leela avataras, Brahma is the one who's describing all this to his son. Narada Muni, who asked the 6 questions we saw in the previous chapter, who is superior, who is the shelter of everything, what is happening after dissolution, so on and so forth. So after discussing about all that, leading up to the description of the different Purusha avataras, Lord Brahma continues with the Leela avataras, and then he now comes to Guna avatara. Purusha avataras means we have 3, which is Karnadakshay Vishnu or Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashay Vishnu, and Shirodakashay Vishnu. Then we have the different Leela avataras that are given, so many of them, unlimited. Then we have Guna avataras, Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, Tamo Guna, 3, creation, maintenance, and destruction. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, they are the 3 Guna avataras. So these are the different personalities who appear as Guna avataras. So after finishing out all this listing, Lord Brahma says, no one can describe about Lord's greatness. We discussed about this even in previous chapter also, how Brahma almost always, whenever he glorifies the Supreme Lord, he would add this disclaimer. Nobody knows his glories in full. In fact, even Supreme Lord doesn't know his glories in full. And here is one section where he will repeat the same. No one can describe about Lord's greatness. And to understand the impossibility of describing Lord's greatness, he says, even if one is able to count how many atomic particles are in this world, unlimited practically, still, if one comes to the position of counting atomic particles, even such a person will never be able to count the glories of the Lord. Practically, the Lord's glories are unlimited. Next, he says, even Ananta Sesh could not reach the limits of Lord's glories. With this 1,000 mouths, neither I, meaning Brahma, nor you, meaning Narada, because he's speaking to Narada Muni, nor the sages born before you, know the limit of his strength. What to speak of others? Nantam vidamyahamami munayograjaste maya balasya purushasya kuto varaye gayan gunan dasha shatanana adi deva with this 1,000 mouths. Sesho dunapi samavashyati nasya param. Then he says, who can know about the glories of the Lord? Only surrendered souls can know the Lord by his mercy. In other words, Radhanath Maharaj says that Krishna consciousness is not achieved, it is awarded. So we can't chant our 16 rounds, do some devotional service and say, all right, I have conquered Krishna. It doesn't work like that. We can try. These are just a simple expression of our devotion and humility, and beg the Supreme Lord to show mercy so that we can understand a little bit about him. That is possible. So he says only those who are surrendered souls can understand the Supreme Lord, and that too by his mercy. Yesham sa esha bhagavan dayayetananta sarvatmanashrita pado yedi nirpyalikam Nirvyalikam, surrendered soul. Te dustaramati taranti cha deva mayam naisham amahameti di swasrigala bhakshe. So he says, the Supreme Lord can be understood only by those who are surrendered. Such a person receives the Lord's unlimited mercy, by which one can cross the insurmountable ocean of Maya and understand the Lord. But not those who are attached to the body, which is meant to be eaten by dogs and jackals. So, a person who is, in other words, if one is bodily conscious, such a person can never understand the Krishna. So, in social media, many times we come across people giving their own ideas and opinions. We can outrightly reject, because almost all the time it is coming from people who are not following the path of the scriptures. So we don't need to bother. And people may give their own opinion and waste time like that. But here it's given, such people can never understand because they are attached to the body. Unless somebody is a devotee, one cannot describe about the glories of the Supreme Lord. Even a person practicing the path of devotion has to be fully surrendered, and to such person, Krishna will reveal his glories by his mercy. So even devotees can explain the glories of the Supreme Lord to the extent that the Supreme Lord reveals himself. Surrendered souls who know the Lord. Now, first he gives the principle, then he gives example. He says a list of great personalities, including me. Again, Brahma says me, you, meaning Narada, Shiva, Swayambhuva Manu, Ambarish, Bhishma, Uddhava, Pralada, Dhruva, Vidura, Arjuna, and many others who were thus successful in attracting Lord's mercy. When the 13-year forest period in exile finishes for the Pandavas, they send the news to Dhritarashtra, asking him to hand over, telling him that we have fulfilled the terms of the agreement in our side, and now you fulfill yours, which is to return back one half of the kingdom again, which were originally belonging to the Pandavas. Dhritarashtra, still being attached to his son, the Duryodhana, he sends the message to Sanjaya. Sanjaya comes, shares the news with all the Pandavas, and later on, before leaving, he goes to see Krishna and Arjuna. When he goes to see Krishna and Arjuna, there he sees Krishna and Arjuna. They both were seated on a cushion, Krishna's feet on Arjuna's lap, and Arjuna's feet on Krishna's lap. That's how close friends they were. And to their side, on another cushion, was Draupadi and Satyabhama holding their hands, and they are talking, friendly talks. So this is what Sanjaya sees there, and Sanjaya comes and describes this to Dhritarashtra and all the Kurus in the assembly. So Arjuna, that's how much mercy he had attracted, to have Supreme Lord as his bosom friend. Even lower persons can know the Lord by a devotee's mercy. So first it said surrendered souls who are surrendered to the Supreme Lord, they can know about the glories of the Lord depending on the mercy of the Lord. But even lower persons, not only are the devotees who take the mercy from the Lord can know, but even those persons who take the mercy from the devotees also can know the Lord. Te vai vidanti atitaranti chadeva mayam Sri Shudrahuna Shabara Api Papa Jivaha Yadyat Putakrama Parayana Shila Siksha Stiryak Jana Api Kimu Shrutadaranaye. Not only the devotees, even unqualified people can cross over the material ocean and know the Lord if they are inclined to surrender again. Nivyalikam. To the pure devotees. Pure devotees surrendered to Supreme Lord. Even other people can still know about Supreme Lord if they simply take shelter of the pure devotees. So both they will get to know the mercy and the glories of the Supreme Lord. And then he describes about Vadanti Tattvavidas, three aspects of the absolute truth: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And then he establishes Bhagavan as the ultimate controller of everything. Paramatma, he gives the qualities actually. He says Paramatma, he is eternally peaceful. Shashwat Prashantam. You will never see emotion from the face of Paramatma. It is also given as one of the descriptions why you can't really have that rasa with Paramatma. The yogis, they sit in meditation for 60,000 years. Finally, Paramatma comes in front of them. They look at him, he look at them, and that's it. They get awarded either mukti or they get awarded in Santarasa. When he comes, mildly smiles, prasanna vadanam. You will never see Paramatma putting his feet on the lap of some other devotee. You will never come across Paramatma wrestling like how Krishna did with the Gopas and Gopis. Paramatma doesn't go stealing butter. Paramatma doesn't drive the chariot. Paramatma doesn't kill any demons. This is Paramatma. He is eternally peaceful. Shashwat Prashantam. He is very happy all the time. Fearless. Abhayam. Just because he is peaceful doesn't mean people can scare him. He is Abhayam. Shuddham. Pure. Shuddham apapa vidam. Sins cannot touch him. Bestows knowledge. Pratibodha matram. Mataha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivista. I live in the heart of all living entities. Mataha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes remembrance, knowledge, jnanam, and forgetfulness. So he bestows knowledge and samam is equal to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyo sthena priya. Krishna says, I am equal to everyone. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. But so till this point, Krishna describes about qualities of Paramatma. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyo sthena priya e bhajanti tu mam bhaktya. But those who worship me, I reward them with my favor. So here qualities of Paramatma is given, and then he describes about Brahman. Brahman aspect of the absolute truth is full of absolute happiness, free from grief, and indescribable by words. It is formless aspect of Bhagavan. And then he says, Bhagavan, Maya being ashamed cannot stand before the Lord. This is Bhagavan. His Swarupa is inexpressible by words. He has form, he has qualities, but nobody can come to the end of describing those qualities. Like if you describe about a personality, we can say this height, this complexion, this profile, this look, this how they actually look, how to identify such a person. It's easy to describe. But for describing about the Supreme Lord, even words can't approach. So he says he's inexpressible by words, although sometimes we describe him by comparing with some visible objects. Namo Pankajanabhaya, oh my Lord, whose navel is like a lotus. So we compare it. Even though it's not complete yet, it will still give us an idea. So Lord Brahma describes like this. And he says, Jnanis and yogis, they give up these parts. Why? And the example that he gives is just like Indra, because he's controlling the rain, he gives up the trouble of digging up a well. If Indra needs water, he doesn't need to dig up a well. He just needs to call, because he controls the rain. He calls the lords of the rain and they will give him sufficient water. Same way, the jnanis and yogis, they try to attain the Supreme Lord by artificial mental speculation, and they give up because there is no result in that. Some people, despite following that, they are proud, they still don't give up. But if a jnani and yogi are honest with themselves, after some time, they know this is going nowhere and they will give up. How? Exactly like how Indra gives up the endeavor to dig up a well. That's the analogy he gives. Bhagavan is the ultimate benefactor, not Brahman, not Paramatma. He bestows the result of all the processes, yoga, jnana, and karma. So even for a yogi and jnani and a karmi, for them to attain perfection in their own respective path of yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, and hatha yoga or dhyana yoga, they still need to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. Even once they take shelter of Bhagavan, even if their business of perfection is unfulfilled, they can start from where they left off in the next life. Prapya punya kritam logam ushitva shashvati samaha suchinam srimatam gehe yoga brashta vijayate. Prabhupada would often quote also swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Neha bikrama nashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So simply by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord as Bhagavan, one is assured of perfection either in this life, or even if they have to come back, it will just be an eternal asset. So that only Bhagavan offers through bhakti. So unless somebody has got at least a tinge of bhakti, they can't attain perfection in any of the other paths. Finally, now he summarizes, my dear son, Brahma is saying, I have thus explained to you in brief about the Supreme Lord Hari, who creates all the worlds and without whom nothing exists. Now he says, distribute this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we see our parampara, I think it's in page 32 in my Bhagavad Gita. You can have a look. That's the edition I have. There's a parampara of Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we see from Brahma, Brahma comes to Narada. Narada, you will see from there to Vyasadev, Vyasadev to Madhvacharya, and then our parampara continues all the way to the 32nd Acharya, which is Srila Prabhupada. Then the page is not 32. The number is 32. I'm mixing up. But 32nd Acharya is Srila Prabhupada, we see. So that parampara, here he says, we can see here, Brahma, after giving all this knowledge, he is now instructing Narada Muni, disseminate this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a collection of Lord's vibhutis. Vibhuti means his opulences, his power. It is spoken by the Lord to me. So Krishna is giving this knowledge to Brahma. Brahma is giving this knowledge to Narada, and he's telling Narada, please go and disseminate this knowledge everywhere. Describing it with the determination in such a way that it will give rise to bhakti in all living entities. Now here he is giving, Brahma is giving Narada Muni the preaching plan. So you preach this in such a way that it will give rise to bhakti, and you will see Narada Muni how he preaches. We get goosebumps if you look at the varieties of preaching which Narada Muni preaches to. He goes to a total karma kandiking like Prachina Barhi. He preaches to them. He goes to the sons of Daksha and he converts all of them. 60,000, 10,000, all of them into devotees, telling them just give up this, take up to this path. He preaches to Maharaj Priyavrata. He preaches to Hunter Mrigari. He preaches to Prahlad Maharaj when he was in the womb. He preaches to a 5-year-old boy, which is Dhruva Maharaj. So if you go through this, he preaches even to the father of the Supreme Lord, Vasudev. So you will come across Narada Muni, he preaches to everyone. He has a snake disciple. So very unusual candidates, but he preaches left, right, and center, top, bottom, all directions. Only personality to appear in all the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So you will come across Narada Muni speaking everywhere. So this is Narada Muni's glory. So he takes this instruction to his heart, and Narada Muni goes and he preaches it. Now, sometimes we may think we should always remember only Krishna's Vrajalila. What to speak of even, or why waste time discussing about Kurukshetra Lila or Dwaraka Lila? Why waste time discussing about Maya, creation, Vedic cosmology? Why discuss about Chaturshloki? Why discuss about Kapiladev's instructions? It's Sankhya Yoga after all. So our mind comes up with all those speculations. We have to understand, if something is in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is for our own good. Some instructions tell us directly how to perform bhakti. Some instructions tell us how not to follow bad examples as well. So in this way, anything that we see, we can connect it to the Supreme Lord and go deep within our bhakti. Now in this series of chapters and verses, we see Brahma discussing about how creation came to be. Apparently it is just matter. It is just Maya Shakti. What is the use? Please read the final verse, which talks about the falastuti of the descriptions of Maya. Mayam varnayato musya ishwarasyanumodatah shrinvata shraddaya nityam maya yatmana muhyati. By constantly hearing, if one constantly describes Maya in relation to the Lord, very important, not just discussing only Maya. If one constantly describes Maya in relation to the Lord, remembers Maya or hears about Maya with proper faith. In other words, whoever who reads the last 3 chapters, such a person will not be bewildered by Maya. That's the falashruti. We need to go deep in our bhakti. That is good. We also should not be bewildered by Maya. So what benefit do we get by reading these chapters about Maya Shakti? When we study, describe Maya, here remember Maya in relation to the Supreme Lord, such devotees will become free from bewilderment of Maya. Ishwarasya anumodataha. Who shrinvata shraddaya nityam. One who hears with faith always, nityam. Such a person will become immune to the influence of Maya. That is the benefit, and that's why we should study about Purusha Shukta prayers. That's why we should study about the different Leela avataras, Guna avataras, Purusha avataras. That's why we should study about the process of creation. So by doing all this, one become free from Maya. That's the purpose. So this is how this chapter 2.7 concludes. We'll see 2.8 next week. And as I discussed earlier, that we are going to start a Chaitanya Charitamrita class in our temple. We won't be going in a sequence. We are going different sections of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have actually gone through end to end before. Now we thought we can go to different sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita and go a bit more deeper. So we'll be starting that, I think, 3rd or 4th Saturday of this month, December. But I'll let you know. The timing of Bhagavatam will change. I've already started to pre-record them, and then we'll have them shared, going live at 11:30 every morning, because 10 o'clock is when we have Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if you like to attend both, you're welcome. You can tune in, or if you're in the temple, you're welcome to come and join us. So thank you all very much. We'll see you next week. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveda Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.